Welcome back to the Movie Draft House. I'm your host, Mark, joined by co-host Jeff.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jeff.
I'm in a good mood today.
I hope so. But before we get into what we watched this week, we got to plug some music, and the music this month has been brought to you by the rock instrumentalist band No Shows with their song Getaway. Be sure to hit the show notes where you can find the links to all their social media accounts. They're doing big things. Give them a like, a follow, and a subscribe. And let us know what you think of their music. We appreciate them allowing us to use their music here on our podcast. Jeff.
Yes, sir.
What did we watch this week?
Well, you picked it. Don't blame me, but it is March Madness, and it is the final week of March Madness.
Brackets are busted.
Possibly my bracket's
Banners
busted,
are being
but,
lifted.
North Carolina and Duke were in it at the moment of this recording, which is all I stated. I'm not making a bracket this year, are you?
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
I used to do it when I was in the office, and we all kind of used to compete. But now I don't have anyone to compare myself to, and so it just lost.
I mean, I'd do a bracket with you.
Would you?
Yeah,
and then we'd report back in a few weeks, and it would just be, no, I'm not doing it. I don't care. But that being said, we're watching basketball movies this month, and we are on our fourth and final basketball film, The Way Back from 2020, starring Ben Affleck, directed by Gavin O'Connor, and written by Brad Inglesby. I had never seen nor heard of this film, and you picked it, so have you?
Yeah, I remember when it came out, I think it was right pre-pandemic, and, it got some buzz for Affleck's performance, and I was just looking at Gavin O'Connor's filmography, and he's got a couple. He directed The Accountant, which also stars Ben Affleck. That's the assassin movie. Jane Got a Gun from 2015.
Ooh, that was the music video from Aerosmith. James, no, I'm an idiot.
He also directed the MMA movie Warrior, starring Tom Hardy and that other guy. What's his name?
I have no idea.
Joel Edgerton.
Oh.
Yeah, it stars Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy as, I think they're brothers, and they have to fight each other.
Maybe we'll do combat sports month one time.
Oh God, no! You just want to watch Van Damme movies.
No, well, yes, I do. I mean, it's true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what I'd pick. But you caught me, okay? To be honest, you caught me. I would at least squeeze one in for sure. But I feel like it'd be Bloodsport or Kickboxer, because we already reviewed a lot of the other combat sports movies that he's in.
Yeah, so Gavin O'Connor has a history with Ben Affleck here, and from his filmography, they're all they're okay movies, right? Like I've not seen
any.
Okay. Well, I've seen a good chunk of his filmography, and I remember them being, entertaining films. They're not great films per se, but they're not bad films. So when this movie came out, I was intrigued by it because it's a sports movie. Ben Affleck plays a former college basketball player.
Well, he didn't actually go to college.
Right. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. He was a star high school player that got recruited to go play big-time college ball. And never did it. And then he gets asked by his high school to come back and be the head basketball coach.
Which is a private Catholic school.
Right. So
because they play in, like, I guess, I think this is true. I'm talking out my ass. Just call me Mark. But I believe private schools, or maybe even slimmer down than that, have their own, like, division. And their own tournament and stuff like that. So they don't compete against your public schools.
I think it depends on where you play, like what state. Like I know here in Florida, where we are, the classes do the classes of high school, like, certain high schools are in class like 1A, 2A, all that. There's private schools mixed in with public schools. So this
Yeah, it looks like there's independent athletic associations and could be any number of things. But they aren't competing with other high schools. They all seem to be religious institutions that they are battling against.
Sure, and and that's probably legitimate. In other, what is this? There's New Jersey or New York, wherever this movie takes place. But you had never seen it, right? You didn't.
No, I've not seen this.
Okay,
I didn't even watch it this week. Just kidding.
What movie we watch again?
No, I did watch it this week, and
so you hadn't seen it, so obviously it does hit the theme. But what were your overall thoughts?
I kind of had mixed feelings about this one. I think at the end of the day, it's a good movie. Anytime alcoholism is portrayed on screen, I get extra critical of how it's portrayed.
Sure.
I think this movie did a decent job. Some parts rang a little false at points, but I think for the most part, they captured it well enough. I think Ben Affleck's performance is really, really good. I think the basketball moments could be better. There are some good basketball moments, but a lot of the games would just be a flash of the final score on screen,
Sure.
and then they'd move on. So you wouldn't actually get to see any of it or whatever,
Well, this
But
is a
it
movie.
did keep the movie going, as opposed to like Blue Chips, which was just like basketball on basketball. And the movie kind of, I don't want to say it stalled because I was never bored at Blue Chips, but it did have a lot of basketball. And this definitely coming off of that, I definitely noticed a difference in the level of, on-screen sports.
Yeah, I think the difference in the two movies, other than Blue Chips being an older movie and this one being pretty new, is that this is a character. This movie, The Way Back, is a character study of Jack, Ben Affleck's character, with basketball around him. Whereas Blue Chips was a look at basketball with Nick Nolte's character around it. And I think that is a distinctive difference.
No, that's a very good way to contrast the two movies.
I felt like, and I do like how this movie, they don't explain why we get introduced to Jack, Ben Affleck's character, as an alcoholic, but we don't know why until 3/4 of the way through. And then once we find, the movie reveals its reason that he is an alcoholic, or because he's grieving. And I thought it was a good reveal. We get little snippets and little breadcrumbs that there's something deeper. It's not just his alcohol problem that is ruining his life. It's something else. And I did enjoy the study of Ben Affleck, the human, or I'm sorry, not Ben Affleck, Jack the human, his character, in this film, and how he's struggling, right? He gets pretty beat down in this film, emotionally and literally sometimes, and it's just like, and then you think, okay, this is the moment that the light bulb's gonna go off and he's gonna go sober, and then he's back drinking again, and and like you can speak on it much more clearly than I can, with just your history around it, but did, like you said, some of it rang false.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the movie, first off, let me put it this way: if someone is in a deep alcoholic depression as they portray him to be, there's no chance he takes a job as a basketball coach. He just wouldn't do it. Too damn depressed. the amount he drinks is crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I know like the alcoholism I've seen, it's a lot of booze, but he straight up is like going to construction and drinking like whole bottles of vodka. I'm like, okay, there's a point where I'm like, all right, buddy, but that's kind of the thing, and when we get later into the movie is when it starts to feel a little more honest, in the portrayal. So it's really just more of a feeling for me, and maybe it's not fair because I compare it to experiences with my dad, who was an alcoholic, and not all alcoholism looks the same necessarily. There are times where I'm like, that's totally false and just not accurate, which, I think of the Queen's Gambit, the TV show. I felt like that was ridiculous portrayal of alcoholism. This is definitely a little more realistic, like having the cans at work, someone finding them, that sort of thing. That was kind of realistic, but it's more like the person that is the alcoholic and how that's portrayed that is usually off a bit. And he's making it to birthday parties. And, one of the things that I think a lot of movies that deal with alcoholism miss is the family dynamic of it, the letdown that the family gets, the times that alcoholism gets in the way of a person actually doing what they want,
Right.
So that's kind of where I was like, he's like still showing up for birthday parties. And, like I said, not all alcoholism looks the same, but I think they did a decent job, like largely.
Yeah, I think they had to fit. This movie's about basketball, and I think they had to maybe sensationalize a little bit. Like, and I don't know if this, I don't know what this is based off. If this was a story created for this movie, I don't know if it's based on a true story of somebody somewhere. Probably all of that a little bit, but I did think that Ben Affleck's acting in this movie was pretty good. Ben Affleck gets a bad rap as an actor for a lot of his early stuff, but
Like what though? I never really felt that way.
he was a rom-com guy early in his career. He did Good Will Hunting, which was really good, and I think that kind of showcased him as an actor early on, and he became a pretty big name in Hollywood. And he started taking projects that would pay him a lot of money and get his name out there. And Daredevil probably being the most infamous.
So I would say that one's definitely.
But he had,
and then Geely, right, being the ones that kind of
him and Jennifer Lopez, and then he had that Force. I think it was Forces of Nature with him and Sandra Bullock. And that was pretty bad too. But that's a 90s film. And I just think that like his early career kind of tainted him as an actor a little bit. But he's a very talented director, and he should probably go on your short list of chronologically.
We did discuss that already.
It's just
when we reviewed Air.
Yeah, it's because he makes good movies. And so like there's some overlap in his acting and his movies, and I can tell that there's a good actor in Ben Affleck, and he portrays it at certain times in his filmography. And so I think this is one of those movies where you're like, wow, when Ben Affleck cares about the script and he cares about the performance, he's a good actor. And so I think this, if you got any, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think of like Woody Harrelson in this type of role. And I think, he'd probably do a really good job because Woody Harrelson plays a kind of down and out guy pretty well. Ben Affleck, I really had never seen him play this type of character before, and so that was kind of unique and interesting to me. But But what did you think of the basketball, other than like, the snippets of basketball? But what did you think of the story around the basketball team? Taking this.
That was my favorite part. I mean,
Okay.
honestly, I could have done without the alcoholism thing because I knew, like, the plot wise, things are going to start going really good, and then he's going to have a fall from grace, and then and when you see that coming, you're like, I kind of not really into that story. We've seen it pretty much in every sports movie ever. But in this, it actually subverted a little bit near the end, but
Right.
I really enjoyed all the on-court basketball stuff. I liked the jargon. I liked the way he took control of the team. I felt it was believable. I really like the way he interacts with two of the guys on the team, like the all-star point guard guy, and the way he kind of tries to get him to break out of his shell and become the leader on the team. And then there's the cocky, arrogant, boisterous guy that, he humbles, he kicks him off the team,
Yeah.
and the way I really liked the scene where that young man comes back to his house and begs to get back on the team. I thought that was really well done, and I was invested in the team and them being successful. So for me, that's the best parts in the movie, are all the stuff around the coaching and the team getting better and better. When they stopped focusing on that and started focusing on his personal life, that's when I kind of got a little bored. But if that answers your question about the basketball, we'll get into the other part later, I guess. But what'd you think?
Yeah, the basketball dynamic I thought was really good. I thought him he's clearly got in the film unresolved feelings about, ending his career short. And I think that's the motivation behind taking the job, is that he feels there's unfinished business as him as a basketball player, and he sees this opportunity to come in and, in like the first scene where he walks in the gym and these guys are just kind of shooting around, horsing around, and he drops some knowledge on them as far as like, hey, how many 3-pointers did you make? And the kid's like, oh, I led the team with 60 some 3-pointers made, and then he turns to his assistant coach and he's like, out of how many? And the guy goes like 180, and he's like, what's that percentage? And the guy's like 22%. I like that dynamic because like the movie did not pull the trope of successful basketball player comes in and has to find his way. Ben Affleck knows what he's doing in basketball terms. The character,
right?
He knows how to play basketball. He knows, and like coaching is kind of just this natural thing for him. And so I liked the fact that the movie didn't hold back that. I liked the fact that the movie allowed Ben Affleck, and it was allowed Ben Affleck to just kind of sink into it, and the whole trope of him finding his way, has to do more with the personable aspect, the person-to-person interaction he has with the players and the people at the school and the other people in his life. And that's where his downfall comes. It's not like, some colossal mistake on the court cost, the learning moment wasn't in basketball. It was elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that, is because I wasn't really expecting it. I knew what this movie was about before I watched it, but I didn't expect to get the level of depth behind the character of Jack. I just kind of thought we were going to get this side story of Jack, the person around basketball, and we got basketball around Jack. So, I enjoyed the basketball. And I enjoyed the dynamic of like him coaching in practices and all that. And I thought it was, I did like the fact that he was kind of a father figure to the point guard character, because the point guard kid's dad never came to the games. And I that mentor esque type role for him. But yeah, I mean, the basketball was fine, I thought.
Yeah. Where it did break down for me was in the I didn't care about his personal life. I didn't care.
But why? Like,
I
I mean,
don't
the
think they
movie goes out
established
of your
his
way to give you this like 360-degree look at his personal life.
Yeah, but they didn't do a good enough job, and the way and where I think it falls short is in those personal relationships. The only time I cared about him falling off the wagon was at the end of the movie when he disappointed the team, because the team is where those relationships were well built, right? But his relationship with his ex-wife, his relationship with his sister and their family, I didn't care. Like, they didn't do a lot to develop those beyond just being in the movie, right? To me, like, I didn't care about them. Whereas when, like, if he lets down the kid he's been mentoring, if he lets down this team that we've watched him work so hard for, then I'm like, then I'm a little more emotionally invested. So I think for me, the shortcomings of the film is the personal life stuff, because I don't think it did a good job of actually showing us the stakes on what he's missing out on. And I think part of the reason is because in the movie, you see his professional life goes on an upswing, and then he hits a wall and it crashes. But his personal life never really gets better until the very end of the movie, like right after he's crashed and burned. And he goes to rehab, and then he kind of starts to make amends for his, shortcomings. And I think that that's part of why I didn't buy it as much, is because I didn't really see him getting better at dealing with his personal relationships. And again, so much of alcoholism, the story should be told around how it's affecting the family, what he's missing out on, those sorts of things. And I don't think the movie did a good job of showing you that.
Okay, I mean, that's a fair point. I'll be honest with you, I was more invested into why he was an alcoholic than the alcoholism itself throughout the movie. And originally I'm thinking, okay, he's an alcoholic because his wife left him. And then when we learn that he had I think it was a teenage son, die from cancer, then that, and I thought the maybe one of the most powerful scene to me in that film, and it's not very long. It's when him and his ex-wife are sitting in the car after they went to the grave, and she says something like, I don't want to be angry all the time. And he tells her, I am angry all the time.
Yeah.
And I thought it was real powerful, because it was a simple line of dialogue, but his face kind of said it all. He was looking out the window, and you can see, like, he knew that there was no fixing it in that moment. That he had accepted that this was him now. He is this angry person because of what had happened, and he has no want to fix it. And I thought that was I thought it was a powerful scene, and I was invested when we learned that's why he's an alcoholic, or that's part of the reason why he's an alcoholic. That, I guess, that's the moment that I became invested in. Where does this go? Is because now there's reason behind his problem. The movie's identified it now. So now how is he going to get up out of it? And that, I think that's what that really kept me intrigued and glued in, much more beyond, the school going, trying to get to the playoffs for the first time and since he played. So I did enjoy the personal aspect to his story, but really only once I learned why it was the way he was.
Fair enough. I didn't care. like I said, I was invested in the basketball team because that's really what the movie did a great job, in my opinion, of expressing. And the family stuff I felt was ancillary to the rest of the story.
Yeah, I mean, they probably could have the writer here, probably could have done more to showcase how his alcoholism was impacting the team. He's showing up to practice drunk. He got ejected from a game. Then he got fired. How does that impact? How does that impact the team? We probably could have seen more of that because I don't think we really saw any of that in the film. But yeah,
yeah. But I mean, I really don't have a lot else to say. I felt like this movie was good, but also kind of closer to the meh side of good to me.
Yeah, I mean, so you don't recommend it?
I no, I don't.
Okay, that's fine. I'm also not going to recommend it, but that's not because I didn't think it was a good film. It's just more because it's just not. It's not a film that we can stand up and defend, right? But at the end of the day, I do think that it's an intriguing look at. It's a character study, and it's something that Ben Affleck has not really done in his acting career, and so I think it's a worthwhile film to watch if you're invested in what kind of actor Ben Affleck is. But yeah. So Jeff,
real quick before we go to drafting,
okay,
can you rank our 4 movies? 2 rankings: best movie, right, and then the other ranking is best basketball.
Okay. Let's see. Let's run them down. He got game.
He got game.
Air.
Blue Chips.
And then the way back. So best overall movie?
Just best movie, regardless of basketball. The best film we watched this month.
I'll say Air.
Yeah, I agree.
And then best basketball movie was Blue Chips for sure.
Blue Chips, easily.
Yeah.
I think so too. It was so much basketball that I felt like I was watching.
Honestly, The Way Back is probably number 2 as far as best film goes. Best movie overall.
And I think as far as best basketball as well.
Yeah, right.
Because Air had almost no basketball.
And He Got Game had just one
sucked
scene
my
of
ass
basketball
from start to finish. Honestly, the further away I get from He Got Game, the more I dislike it. Like, it's just one of those things. That movie's not very good, and the basketball's not very good. Why did we have to watch it? It's my fault. I get it, but just being honest, that was a waste of time.
I do appreciate the honesty. We try to hold each other accountable here on the podcast. So,
we're going to try being the operative word. Speaking of holding each other accountable, let's see which of us is just not going to hit the theme next month. And the theme next month is dragons. That's it. Dragons. Let's watch some movies. Dragons.
Let's watch a movie about a dragon, or a movie with a dragon, or a movie that might reference
might not have a dragon in
or
it, possibly
something that resembles a dragon, but it's not a dragon. It might be a bat.
Maybe the dragon was the friends we made along the way.
If you pick The Never-Ending Story, I will never forgive you.
All right, let me delete this.
Anyways, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'm gonna go first because I want to take the pressure off of you, because
good.
you've worried. You're like, how much dragon does there need to be? Do I that sort of? I want you to be completely comfortable with the lack of dragon.
Yeah, your selection may lead me to pick a movie that I have not even considered. So go ahead.
Okay, so this movie, let me pull up the IMDb, was directed by Rob Cohen. Came out in the year 1993 because you know me. And it stars Jason Scott Lee, and he plays the main character in the movie Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. No fucking dragons in this shit. Bruce Lee is the dragon.
Wait.
So pressure's off. I fucking
All right. All right. So now that you've done that, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do a complete 180 curveball, and I'm gonna select from the year 2002.
Ooh.
It stars your boy Anthony Hopkins.
Jean-Claude.
Oh. Anthony Hopkins, Edward Norton, Ralph Fiennes, Harvey Keitel.
Red Dragon?
We are going to watch Red Dragon.
That's hilarious. Dragon-free month, everyone. No fucking dragons. All right?
Movies with dragons in the title. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe, but
no. It's been a very long time since I've seen it. I do know it's
now. Is this the one that's the prequel?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
But it's regarded as one of the best Hannibal Lecter movies. So, yeah.
Okay. This is completely unintentional. I just discovered this. So my previous film, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, was directed by Rob Cohen. My next pick, in 1996, directed by Rob Cohen. And once I say the name, you might know what it is. Starring Dennis Quaid and Sean Connery.
Okay, let's go.
Dragonheart.
I love it. Also been a long time since I've seen that, but I remember loving it.
Never
as a
seen
child.
it. It looked ridiculous to me.
I remember watching it as a kid and
Googled
thinking
best
it was
dragon movie, and this was on there. I honestly, I think the best dragon movie is How to Train Your Dragon. The movie's awesome, but we're gonna give this a go. Never seen it.
Okay. Well, I'm on board. So wait, is April a 4-week month?
I believe we are just in a 4-week month.
Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure.
4
Okay.
Thursdays.
So this is a movie that I recently gushed over. I've seen it. I saw it recently because it's a recent film.
Dragon, a Bruce Lee story. Already picked that.
It's not. It's an animated film.
Will this movie have a dragon?
It will have a dragon. We have succeeded. Oh wait, no, Dragonheart has a dragon.
So far, we've got Dragon, a Bruce Lee story, Red Dragon, and Dragonheart. Can you put a dragon in the title?
I can't, just because
but it will have a dragon in the movie.
It will have a dragon in the movie. We're gonna watch from the year 2023, the Oscar-nominated animated film
Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
Nimona.
Oh, I almost read the comic of this, and then I thought better of it.
I don't know why, but man,
I didn't feel like it.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's good enough reason. I loved this movie on first viewing. It captures a lot of emotion, and it looks fucking fantastic. I think you're gonna love it.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. I have no objection. Did you say there is a dragon, though?
There is a dragon in the film.
Okay. Not that I have any room to criticize.
You don't.
Neither do you. But
right.
at least the movies without dragons have the title of dragon.
Right. Correct. So it's a dragon month on the podcast for April 2024. So we'll run them down. We got Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, Red Dragon, Dragonheart, and Nimona. It's kind of like in Pac-Man where it's Inky, Pinky, Blinky, and Clyde. You picked the Clyde. I actually think we have a really good field of films.
Sure. Yeah, I hope so. Have you ever seen Bruce Lee's Bruce Lee story?
No, but
okay. I'll warn you going in. Shit ain't accurate.
Fuck. Oh,
no,
okay.
I remember really liking it. Okay. I'm just like, you can't watch Dragon, a Bruce Lee story and think you know anything about Bruce Lee, in the same way that you can't watch Bohemian Rhapsody and think you know anything about Queen. But I remember really liking it when I saw it, but it's been many a moon.
Jason Scott Lee. Who is that? Who's this Jason Scott
he
Lee?
plays,
Bruce Lee.
yeah, he plays Bruce Lee.
I'm
I
just
don't
looking.
remember him from anything else.
Nope. Anyway,
I mean, he was in
don't.
Back to the Future Part 2. He had a small role. I think he was one of the goons for Biff. He's got a bunch of action movies. He did a voice in Lilo and Stitch.
The IMDb synopsis for this film is probably the shortest synopsis I've ever seen on IMDb. A fictionalized account of the life of the martial arts superstar.
Yeah. What more do you need to know? And they
I don't.
openly say fictionalized.
Right. I don't
Motherfucker
need to know
turns into a
anything.
dragon halfway through the movie.
No, that's I'm looking forward to it. I've never seen it.
And I accidentally double dipped on Rob Cohen completely by
right.
accident.
I mean, it's meant to be. Anyways, I want to give another shout out to the music this month. The band No Shows with their song Getaway. Be sure to hit the show notes. Give them a like, follow, subscribe. They're doing big things. We appreciate them. If you want to follow the podcast on all your favorite social media platforms, we're at Movie Draft House. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, right here on YouTube. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button when it pops up so you don't miss any future content here on our podcast. And if you want to follow Jeff on Twitter and tell him, hey, bitch, Bruce Lee ain't the only dragon in town, you can find him at
Who's the other one?
Podcast by
Be
Jeff.
sure to back it up by telling me who the other one is.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
If you want to get in touch with Mark and say, hey, man, check it out. Did you know that Rob Cohen directed the original Fast and the Furious movie?
Wait, what?
You can go and do that at I Heard You Liked on Twitter. Yeah, he did.
Are you talking out your ass right now?
No, I'm talking out of my IMDb.
Did he really?
He directed the original Fast and the Furious.
That's wild. He's got a shit ton of movies.
Yeah. He is not an action slouch, I think. So we'll see how that goes. Also, if you wanted to check out my other podcast, you can find it. It's called Chronologically, wherever you get your podcasts. And we're getting ready to start our 4th season, looking at the movies of Stephen King, based on the works of Stephen King throughout the 70s and 80s.
He directed Bird on a Wire. That's one of my favorite 90s films.
It's maybe the only 90s film you've seen before we started the podcast.
Mel Gibson, Goldie Hawn. Let's go. Anyways.
I do like Goldie Hawn.
Yeah. Triple X State of the Union. That's got a 4.5 on IMDb.
Well, he did the original Triple X.
When was the
not
original
good.
Triple X?
2002.
Oh, he did Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, Stealth. Nice.
Yeah.
My
I don't
guy.
think he's-
Daylight, the movie Daylight with Sylvester Stallone. That's an action. That's a 90s action film. I'm on board. Let's go. Put this guy on
Well,
the chronological
there you go.
list.
No, I'm good. There's a lot of crap in there too.
Anyways, any last words before we go?
Nope. It doesn't. Nope.